Aussies are back with a bang. A marvellous, wonderful moment. Try time, heartache and heartbreak. Up it goes. Oh, that is stunning. Could you believe it? It's over. That is it. Australia have won.
Welcome once again to Paris and Network 10's coverage of the Rugby World Cup in 2007. Our featured match today, Japan and Fiji, coming to you from Toulouse, where it's a very pleasant 19 degrees. But of course, those temperatures for the various matches will drop as we get a little closer to winter and the tournament unfolds. Ben Darwin, Ben Tuna, Rupert McCall join me once again as we come into this a little bit earlier, as we tend to do and will do throughout the tournament, to bring you the latest news surrounding this World Cup. And there's always plenty of it before we get into the game in a little more detail. And that's what we're going to do right now, is bring you up to date with the results so far. Last night, Argentina beating Georgia in the end comfortably. Rupert McCall will have a lot more on that. It was a significant game in just a moment, but it was a tough one for a long time for Argentina. And likewise, USA against Tonga, another team backing up in only 4 days at this World Cup, really struggling. That's an interesting trend that's come out of this first week or so. And the pool situations, well, of course, only a couple of matches at best played in each of these pools so far. And starting with this one, Pool A, we see a great clash coming up this weekend, which we'll bring you before, the day before the Australia-Wales match, and that's the Springboks versus England.
I guess an interesting point we should make, is the disparity between the Northern Hemisphere teams and the Southern Hemisphere teams in terms of form at the moment. You've got the Tri-Nations countries, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa have absolutely stormed out of the blocks. The Six Nation countries have been a little bit slower, a little bit rustier, but of course there's a long way to go towards the end of the tournament, so who knows what that actually means.
Significant result last night for this group, Rupert.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Argentina, one of the sides backing up from the weekend, and they had to do plenty in the second half, not just to win the match, but with this try to Martin Aramburu to secure the bonus point. This, remember, is Pool D, that famous or infamous pool of death, as they say in this part of the world, and every point is absolutely vital. Marcelo Lafreda, when the try was scored, would have been up in his chair. Hallelujah, thank God for that.
Bonus points absolutely crucial for Argentina. They're yet to play, of course, Ireland, and in that pool of death, those bonus points are like gold.
Yeah, Lafreda's been a big critic of the setup of this Rugby World Cup. We've mentioned that to you before. OK, to matters at hand, and a little closer to this telecast, was the announcement of the Australian team to play Wales. Ben Darwin.
Well, to start off with, Guy Shepardson into the side for Al Baxter. Al can count himself a little bit unlucky, didn't make any mistakes whatsoever against Japan, but Shepardson's entitled to that job, the starting team. Mark Chisholm is onto the bench for Hugh McMenamin. My belief around that is that Mark Chisholm is probably a little bit better in terms of second row. McMenamin's a back rower. Australia just looking up to have a bit more starch in their pack.
Drew Mitchell comes in on the wing for Adam Ashley Cooper, who's been injured all week. Australia doesn't lose a lot there. Drew Mitchell has scored 2 tries against Japan. Fantastic finisher.
Drew Mitchell scored both tries with his first 2 touches after this horrible injury to Mark Gerrard. I say horrible because of the circumstances. It wasn't horrific to look at. It was one of those real weird ones.
It was devastating for Mark Gerrard. His parents are coming over, to watch the Rugby World Cup. He'll be watching in the stands with them. Chini, you can relate to that.
Oh, absolutely. Cameron Shepherd, of course, on his way over to France. Extremely, a predictable choice, extremely versatile, can play wing and fullback, and he's also playing some really good rugby. He's a leading point scorer in the local ARC competition there.
Shepherd will catch up with the team in Cardiff, having left Australia on Tuesday. Now, a couple of very interesting judicial decisions in the last 24 hours, and they're quite significant for 2 of the big hitters, literally and figuratively speaking, in this tournament.
Well, calling this match, I thought that Schalkberger would spend some time in the bin. Like a yellow card, 10 minutes. Paul Honus, he was a little bit out of control at this stage of the match. And they've cited Berger, and he's got 4 weeks. What do you think about that?
Well, I think at the hit, it's really, for me, it's about intent versus result. The result is poor, but I actually can't see the intent being to put your elbow into someone's head. He's simply going for the ball, and the result is poor.
I think 4 weeks is way over the top. As you mentioned, Rupert, I think a yellow card on the spot, give him a 10-minute break would have been suffice.
Well, the South Africans are going to appeal that decision, incidentally, and I guess the plan is to try and get him off the hook, at least in time for the quarterfinals. This is the Jean de Villiers injury from the same game, and like Mark Gerard, he's on his way home, Rupert.
Well, it's a hard call on both fronts for the Springboks. De Villiers' World Cup is over. It was an inconspicuous incident, a little bit like Andrew Simons, the cricketer. He's blown his bicep, and they've called on a replacement.
Yeah, they have. It'd be interesting to see how the change in tactics work with Francois Steyn coming into that number 12 position. Interestingly enough, I know Eddie Jones had a big influence, or particularly liked having 2 ball players at 10 and 12. And funnily enough, that's the way the Springboks are going for this crucial game against England. So Eddie Jones still having an influence.
Yeah, very interesting. A couple of incidents from England's first game of the tournament. They struggled to beat the United States, and they also had a couple of nasty episodes here.
Well, this looks like an absolutely horrible tackle. The reality, I suppose, when you've been tackled in a fashion such as this, we're going to see an end-on shot of it in a second.
Ollie Barkley, the victim, by the way.
Your first intention is actually to try to get back to deck. The hard part about that is actually helps the tackler to upend you, and it puts the person carrying the ball in a very difficult position.
Well, I think it's what the tackler does after he's lifted him, and if Emmerich, who the tackler is, drives him into the ground, which it appeared he did, it's not good. I mean, you know, he's going to spend some time on the sidelines when that happens.
Oh, I'd hope so, because if Berger gets 4 weeks for what he did, in terms of dangerous play, that is, to me, that is a lot more dangerous than what Berger had a crack at.
Coincidentally, it was Emmerich involved in the other incident from the game where Phil Vickery, the skipper no less for England, has been cited and suspended for 2 matches. Let's have a look.
Well, Vickery's worked extremely hard to get back in defence here, and he's been stepped inside, no chance to make the tackle, and just put his leg out, Chinny. In a way, you can't help doing that.
Yeah, it's a tough call. I mean, in fairness to Vickery, I think he had no chance of actually tackling the centre there, but
only a forward would say, you can't help doing that.
He's almost kicked him. I mean, it said Vickery, he's taken the suspension on the chin. 2 weeks. He's resigned to missing the South Africa clash. He'll be back for the quarters and quite possibly a game against the Wallabies.
Yeah, well, it's a tough road for England because they've got problems at fly half. Barkley, even though that wasn't the tackle where he was hurt at training, he had a hip flexor injury. Johnny Wilkinson's still in doubt. They say that Wilkinson spent more time in a white gown in the last couple of years than in a white jersey. So with Vickery out as well, they may struggle to beat South Africa. But the matter at hand is Japan-Fiji, and after the break we'll look at that in more detail. Splendid place to host a World Cup, and we're looking forward to a splendid game today, Japan versus Fiji. We hope you'll enjoy it. Interesting record between the two teams. They've only played each other over a 17-year period. Fiji's won 6 of those 8 clashes. Earlier this year was the latest occasion, and that was in the Pacific Nations Cup, Fiji winning 30-15. Japan and the Rugby World Cup is on an 11-game losing streak. They've only had the 1 win. That was against Zimbabwe. Let's look at the lineups now for this game ahead of us, which should not have a major impact on the outcome of this pool, but we hope will be of great entertainment to any rugby fans. Japan.
Well, Thompson there, you can see right side lock is a very good line-out leader, and he's going to give them a lot of skill. The thing with the Japanese line-out is they've got to be quick. They're going to have a Fiji pack really trying to intimidate them.
In the back lines, it's going to be a fantastic battle on the wings by both teams. Endo, he's agile, fast, good on his feet. And Lomanu, big, powerful ball runner. I think he's about 110 kilograms, so we're in for a bit of a treat.
I'm looking forward to that. The clash of the wingers. We'll see the Fiji side in just a moment, but this Japanese side, we saw none of them on Saturday against the Wallabies. John Kerwin's been holding those aces up his sleeve for this game because he thinks that they compete. Ili Tambuit's the first hit out for the Fijians. He wants to restore that great tradition of running rugby for the flying Fijians and their wingers, and Delisau, who's played a couple of Rugby World Cups, and on the other side, it's Navua, who's got a great reputation. We could see some excitement. Is it a cliche to say I'm looking forward to it? I am.
I don't think so, because you can't say it any differently. You're either looking forward to it or you're not, and we are. Fiji line up now, an interesting, Rupert, as you say. Kerwin puts in a power pack lineup for Japan, but Fiji, I think, going for a bit of muscle in this game.
Yeah, they're tight five. They've really gone for a lot of size. This forward pack is fundamentally based around the NPC played in New Zealand, and they're going to be extremely experienced. Their back three is very, very experienced as far as that's concerned. A lot of sevens as well.
And the linchpin for this side, the general Moses Raulini, who's also the captain. I played a lot of rugby with Moses back in Queensland under Australian under 19.
Oh, the other Moses.
Yeah, that's it. So he's a fantastic general, and as Rupert mentioned, they got plenty of gas on the wings. De La Salle, an established sevens player, so loves a bit of room to move, and of course, is it Navua, who they're talking up as the next Rupeni Thau, so that's a fair call.
Look out.
Now the benches for these respective teams. Now, gentlemen, this will be interesting. Which of these teams has the greater depth or can change the course of the game if they need to?
Well, there's not a great deal of impact in a spectacular way for me, the bench. And I guess you look at a player like Lavan Balabu for Fiji, who scored a great try against Australia in the Pacific Nations, and a lot of the Japanese guys who did play in the run-on side for the Cherry Blossoms on Saturday in Lyon.
Tell you what, there's two names on that list I think both sides would love, Kerwin and Tambua. Tambua, the human skewer, they probably fit well into these sides now.
It's probably where these lesser sides get found out a little bit. You sort of have a look at their benches, and there's no real names that we know of that can come off the bench and really make an impact, and that's probably where in particular they struggle when they come up against, I guess, the more well-known, more powerful top-tier nations.
Good point though about the coaches, Dor, because Kerwin and Tambua, with great tradition in the game. Kerwin has formerly coached Italy, but now with Japan, and doing a terrific job trying to build that nation up to be more competitive.
Yeah, and his catch cry for Japan in this Rugby World Cup is believe. We must believe. And I don't think Kerwin believed that they could beat Australia on the weekend, or let's get realistic about it. But he'll believe that they can beat Fiji, and that's what they're here for. They want to host the Rugby World Cup in 2015. It's very important that they don't return home with no losses. They've got a chance against Fiji and Canada, so we'll be calling on all the big guns to do their bit this afternoon.
Well, I'm glad John Kerwin is coach of the Japanese side, because to be really honest, I think tactically they're going to have to be so smart if they're going to beat the Fijians this afternoon. Fijians, they're great exponents of the seven-a-side game, so they love space, they love the ball in hand. You've got to try to deny them of that. Unfortunately, I think the Japanese forward pack probably isn't good enough. I'm sure Ben Darwin will elaborate a bit more. I don't think they're good enough really to dominate the breakdown. So I think a really smart tactical kicking game is needed by the Japanese. I'm sure John Kerwin has really worked on that through the week.
Well, the great thing about this game is you've actually got two teams that love playing quick tempo rugby, and they're probably not known for the history of being good tacklers, particularly late in the game. I think the Fijians will fall away in their fitness. The Japanese are very disciplined, but this game will go end to end to end. The tackles will start to come up, the clean breaks will be made, there'll be some superb rugby, and the game will just keep moving.
We've seen great opportunism already, haven't we, in the matches at this World Cup. Great completion of making the best use of turnover balls. So that's been something that all the teams have obviously been very good at. Should see a lot of that today.
Well, these teams thrive on it. I mean, the Fijians, as we've mentioned, very good at sevens. There's another Fijian out there, Ngera, the flanker. Now, he was runner-up to Vijay Singh for the Fijian Sportsman of the Year in 2006-2007. So he's a bit of a rock star back in Suva. And you see the Fijians training here. Some great skills on offer, and as Ben Choon mentioned, Moses Raulini pulling it all together.
There's one thing though that for me that does feel like a little bit of a weakness within the Fijian game, and is how much sevens they do play. The Rugby World Cup is going to be based on the ability for teams to move upfield without having to move too much laterally. And the problem with sevens is that teams always go backwards and sideways before they move forward. So my feeling is they can get a little bit lost laterally, and I think it'll have a negative effect. The other one is that you don't have a lot of set piece in sevens rugby, and so that's something they're not going to focus on. The Fijian plays, again, they're stuck in the NPC or they're playing in Europe, so they don't have a lot of time together before the World Cup. Set piece could be a real weakness for them.
Pretty rare distinction, just quickly, Rupert. We were talking about it earlier today for Ili Tambua, having played for two nations at the World Cup.
Yeah, I've played a little bit with and against Ili Tambua, and I promise you this, it's better to play with Ili than against him, because he could hit like a Mack truck, the human skewer. Played for the Wallabies, or in the squad in '95, and then with the squad for Fiji in '99. So he certainly knows plenty about what it takes to win a Rugby World Cup match.
I guess, Rupert, you can probably tell just by looking at the two coaches what type of rugby each team is going to play. With Ili Tambua at the helm, they're going to be very physical, early on, try to dominate with their size and strength over the Japanese and then throw the ball around, hopefully if they get a bit of space. And with Kerwin coaching the Japanese, hopefully they're going to be tactically very smart and try to deny the Fijians of all that time and space they desperately want.
Interesting aspect of this game. We mentioned earlier Marcello Lafreda was very critical of the Pool B structure because of the fact that his team had to back up so quickly. We saw the USA a little flat earlier today against Tonga. Not that they might have won that game anyway, but they certainly looked flat in a lot of places. John Kerwin, it'll be interesting to see if he's managed the problem better than those other two coaches, because they're backing up within that 4-day period, and as you say, Rupert has quite a different lineup, so maybe they can make it work.
Well, that's John Kerwin's plan anyway. Yeah, there are a few sides that have a genuine argument for being delivered a rough deal at this Rugby World Cup, and especially some of the lesser nations, Argentina in that bag as well. But listen, there's no point whinging. I mean, there's no point making excuses, because otherwise, you'll lose that match, and no one's going to have a great deal of sympathy for you. I think after the tournament is the time to take that to the judiciary and argue your point.
It's not an easy problem to solve either, because we want to see the so-called minnows competing at the World Cup, but you've got to divide the groups up in a certain way, otherwise you can't create the quarter-final situation that you need and leading on to the semis and the knockout stage. So, highlights for you to look forward to. Any more from you, Ben Darwin?
No, I just think the ball's going to get chucked around an enormous amount. I think there'll be lots of offloading as we keep on talking about, and it'll be a fantastically high-paced game.
Looking forward to it very much.
The Battle of the Wings. Keep an eye out for that. I know I'm probably a little bit biased, but these 4 wingers on the paddock are absolutely electrifying. Hopefully, they're going to get plenty of ball.
Oh, some of those pronunciations are an absolute mouthful. I can't wait for that challenge. Fiji for mine. I think they'll get up.
Okay, looking forward to it. After the break, we'll have some pictures for you from Toulouse as we bring you Japan versus Fiji. It'll be Fiji's first appearance at this Rugby World Cup. I'm not sure anything really says France World Cup together better than that shot right there. The ball suspended under the Eiffel Tower. They don't like to tinker with their national treasures too much, the French. It gives you an idea of how committed they are to this World Cup. Fiji, inexperience on one side, 9 of their starting 15 at their first World Cup. On the other hand, some experience, because 12 of that starting 15 play for international clubs. So they know what it's like to go up against the best in the world. And of those players, 2 actually play in Japan, Rupert.
That's right. The global game of rugby union today sees Kele Leaware, the second rower, and the flanker Sumisi Nayavo play for Japanese clubs. One for Hino Motors and the other for the NEC Green Rockets. They sound like they could go a bit. And an interesting memory for Mr. Nayavo, not such a good one for the Favour family.
No, Niavo is the gentleman that hit Scotty Farver with a brutal tackle during the Commonwealth Games and knocked poor Scotty onto Pluto. He really didn't know where he was. Directly from the hit, there was no movement, and it was a pretty awful moment for many people watching the Commonwealth Games, and not one that Scotty probably has any idea or remembers whatsoever.
And you mentioned, I guess the number of players the Fijians have that are unknown. They actually see that as a real advantage. Rambeni, the centre for Fiji, came out during the week and said he expects a lot of these players, especially in the back line, obviously after the World Cup, to be household names. I guess similar to what Rupeni Thao, I guess the performances he put during the 2003 World Cup, it really shot him to stardom. So he actually thinks the fact that they have a number of unknown players is actually an advantage. They're going to catch a few teams by surprise.
We talked the other day about Samoa and how difficult it is for that team to get together on a regular basis to be more competitive at a World Cup, but I suppose the same goes for all the Pacific Island nations, really, doesn't it, Rupert? I mean, in the 15-a-side game.
Yeah, it certainly does. The Rugby World, it's like the Olympics, some sports only get that opportunity to shine in the light at that time, and it's the same for these very proud rugby nations who, in the modern age, their best players have to earn a buck, so they end up playing all over the world, and the Rugby World Cup is the only time that we actually see them together. And generally with these sides, at a Rugby World Cup, a star is born. We could see someone this afternoon who we don't know too much about before, but at the end of the Rugby World Cup, everybody will be talking about him.
Now, John Connolly has been focusing so much on Australia's game against Wales, which will bring you, of course, this weekend from Millennium Stadium. But I want to ask the two Wallabies here. Fiji will be the next opponent after Wales. Looking ahead just a little bit, what can John Connolly read into this game perhaps, guys, for a little later on? Will there be a lot of homework done on this game, for example?
Oh, I believe so. I mean, for Fiji, I'd like to think Ili Tabu has added a lot tactically in terms of how they're going to play this game. We've mentioned they're exponents of the sevens game, very good at it, so they typically go very laterally before they go forward. They've picked two big, powerful centres that are very capable of carrying the ball forward, getting the guys over the advantage line, and hopefully then later on the space opens up for the very powerful and very fast outside backs to really capitalise on that space. So, I'm quite confident Ili Tabu is, I guess, come up with a remedy to that very lateral attack.
Well, he's got to try and blend the two aspects of their game, hasn't he? He's got to focus on the set pieces door, but also he doesn't want to lose that great flair and spirit, of the Fijian game.
No.
And that's a challenge in itself, but you'd like to have Ili Tambua doing it because he's been there in both aspects of Fiji and
That's
Australia.
right. The key is you've got to do one before the other, and hopefully this time around they're going to get that right.
I think the thing is that in a game like this, at the very least, we're going to see Fiji a lot with the ball in hand. It's very difficult to glean anything when you see an opposition if they're getting touched up by a bigger nation. So the Fiji are going to run the ball an enormous amount. I don't think John Connolly will have any fear in playing a side like Fiji later on. Whenever you come up against teams like that later on down the track, you tend to be focusing on your pattern, your play. I don't think Australia would have looked even much at Japan going into the Japan game. You saw they just ran their patterns, what they wanted to do, but they don't want to reveal too much coming into the quarters and the semis.
Now, Toulouse staging its first World Cup match. Capacity for that stadium is about 35,000. Rupert, pretty good culture there for rugby. We've seen Lyon, which is more soccer-minded, really. Great stadium, of course, and a great welcome for the teams, but this is a rugby home.
It is. I went for a walk down to Malacca last night to watch the Argentina-Georgian clash, and believe it or not, there were Georgian supporters there cheering their side on. I mean, that's the Rugby World Cup. But I caught up with a couple of frogs, Bruno and Arno, who, seriously, they guarantee that Toulouse is the heart and soul of French rugby. Absolutely love the 15-man game down there in the south of France, and so the spectators and supporters, hopefully they'll be treated to some good rugby.
And one of those Georgians was a Gold Coast Titans fan in the rugby league or something, you were saying?
Well, these were the French guys.
Oh,
the
sorry,
Georgians
the
were
French
over
guys.
here. Bruno and Arno were French, but yeah, one of them works in Auckland in New Zealand and started talking to me about the Gold Coast Titans and how well they'll go in the NRL. It's a small world.
You never know who you run into here at the Rugby World Cup, there's no doubt about that. So, selection for the game, fearless predictions from the panel on this side. You guys should know what you're talking about.
Well, the last two games sometimes. The last two games these sides have played each other, it's been Fiji 30, Japan 15. Time before that was 29-15 the same way. The difficulty is we haven't seen these teams, because they've had a lot of their overseas players away, play against each other. My feeling is the Fiji probably had more players away, so I expect probably a little bit, even a bigger score, maybe 50-20, something along those lines.
Yeah, I expect the Japanese to, I guess similar when they played the Wallabies, to hang in there for 20 or 30 minutes, but the Fijians just too big, too powerful, too fast. I really think the avalanche of the Fijians is really going to come over the top of the Japanese probably towards the middle of the second half.
Thing is, this is it for teams like these. I mean, Japan, as I said at the top of the show, has only had the one World Cup victory. Fiji's had quite a few more than that. I think 5 out of 15 at the World Cup they've won, which is not a bad strike rate for a so-called minnow nation. But this means a lot to these players. They're going to give it 100%. It'll be like a final.
Yeah, well, the Flying Fijians with the Cherry Blossoms, they played the last Rugby World Cup up in Townsville there in front of 17,000 fans in North Queensland. Fijians were too good in that game as well. That seems to be the trend, doesn't it, boys? Fiji just too strong and running away with it in the second half. I think that's what might happen today as well.
We didn't see the best of Fiji either earlier this year. Around the time of the Pacific Nations Cup, Australia played a test match against Fiji, and we didn't look too good either, I might add, but the Fijians didn't have their best side in then.
No, and I think that's the point we touched on before. You never really see the best of the Fijians until Rugby World Cup comes around. I mean, I guess if we had a World Cup of origin, the Fijian side would be pretty handy. I know the outside backs would be pretty flash with Rokothoko and Sivavatu and so
Lottie
Takiri. So in terms of talent, they've got it in abundance.
Well, we've seen a lot of colour in the stands at this Rugby World Cup. Some of the supporters have travelled a long way to watch their particular nations play. Others have just been getting in on the act from locally. local bases, and it's terrific to see. We saw great support for the various teams in when Australia hosted the World Cup, and that tradition's been carried on here in France.
I've been absolutely stunned by the crowds here. I think it's been, every game seems to be 90 towards 100%. I think in the last World Cup in '99 they made the mistake of diversifying the games a little bit. I remember a game between, I think, Georgia and Romania up in Scotland. There was 3 people and a dog watching the game, and really didn't seem to be the atmosphere, and that's unfortunate. These teams live again to play in this World Cup. It's tremendously exciting for them. The point I did want to make for the Fijians, a lot of those players will be extremely happy this tournament's being held in France, because a lot of these guys are playing for contracts further on down the track.
Yeah.
There'll be agents and coaches aplenty from all the clubs around Europe, which are the ones who are contracting at the moment, and they get a great opportunity to get signed for the next couple of years or be taken out of Fijian club rugby and into Europe.
It's becoming more and more like the Football World Cup, really, isn't it, in that respect, even though in some countries there are still restrictions on the number of import players you can use, and it works both ways. As we've made the point in an earlier program, South Africa still considering preventing their players from being chosen for the Springbok side if they play overseas. The Japanese side, of course, we're looking at now.
Yeah, the Japanese.
Obviously a disappointing result
coached by
on the
Jonker.
weekend. What response are you expecting from your players today?
Yeah, I think, said day was important for us from a development point of view. We had some young guys out there that have tasted, what it's like to play the second best team in the world, rankings-wise. Today's a different game for us. We have a new team out there, so very important day for Japanese rugby.
A couple of names that you'd like to point out as we look at the Japanese side. Young Robbins there at fly half, an interesting selection, Rupert.
Yeah, Bryce Robbins, I told the story the other day, I might repeat it. His father from Taranaki played a few midweek games for New Zealand, probably 15 or 20 years ago. Couldn't crack the #1 side for one reason only, and that was the man in front of him was none other than Bryce Robbins' current coach, John Kerwin. So that's a simple twist of fate there for Bryce Robbins. Generally plays full back and a little bit in the outside backs. But with the injury to Ando before this tournament, he has to do the job at 5'8", and he has to do it well.
Bit of a gamble there, but really a gamble they had to take because there's not a lot of depth in the squads at this level of the World Cup. Probably a good outfit, that, for the kind of temperatures we've had to withstand at the various venues. It is warmer in the south of France than it is even in Paris, and it's quite warm here, I can tell you. We'll be back with more action after the break. Fijian team for this game against Japan in Toulouse will be kicking off shortly. Kameli Ratuvo edging the incumbent Norman Laguerre to the bench. That's his first test start in the number 15 for the Fijians. So a lot of astute team shuffling, Rupert McCall, for this game. As we said, a very important one for both nations, and we're looking forward to an exciting game here.
We certainly are. Well, the referee is, that's what he said at the toss. Marius Jonker from South Africa indicating that Japan had won the toss. He then said, "May the best team win. Good luck, boys. I'm looking forward to it." And so we here in the Network 10 commentary box. Should be plenty of entertainment on offer.
Oh, absolutely, Rupert. I tell you what, if Fiji get the amount of ball they want, then we are in for an absolute treat. Obviously, the Japanese side would be pretty keen to limit the amount of ball the Fijians are going to get. But I think in general, both teams very capable of putting on an entertaining experience.
Well, as we see the World Cup, there's only one team that's going to be holding that at the end. It's nice to see this now sort of soccer-like tradition of the two teams facing up to one another. And my fear in a way is that this Japanese side is going to be a little bit intimidated by a big Fijian team. They're going to be heavy tackling. There's going to be one or two hits that can really shake the players, and let's hope it doesn't put the Japanese off too much. They keep shifting the ball.
But I must admit, personally, I really like running onto a football field, so the whole idea of standing there next to my opponent and walking on doesn't do a lot for me, but I guess in the traditions of World Cup rugby, it's a nice change.
Junior, you make the mistake that I actually spent most of my time playing walking anyway, so too much energy as far as I'm concerned running onto a field.
Once again, there will be emotion. There's not too much you can say to describe what some of these players feel just prior to their national anthems and then during the singing. L'Estade in Toulouse sets the scene. And this stadium holds over 35,000 rugby fans. There's Japanese flags flying. And those also here to see the Fijians, the flying Fijians, do their thing. The characters, you're always going to see plenty of colour at a Rugby World Cup.
The thing I love about the Japanese fans is even when they're down by 85, to 3 against Australia, they're still enthusiastic about the game.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please be standing for the national anthems of Fiji in Japan, recorded by the Republican Guard and the French choir.
Fijian national anthem, Moses Rauluni leading his troops this afternoon for Japan. Takuro Miyushi returns.
Well, the Fijians are we'll just look at the Japanese team first. Again, with line-out time, I really think they're going to go quick in terms of getting the ball in and out. They really battle towards the middle of the back.
We talked about the Fijians, how they love to throw the ball around. Imamura, Lemanu, Endo, they too love the ball in hand. So they get plenty of possession. They're going to be tough to beat as well.
Now it's Fiji's own haka as they prepare for this battle at Toulouse. We'll take that as they're ready to play. Nicky Little, Moses Rauluni leading the charge.
Again, a big physical, quite young tight five as far as the Fijians concerned, but that back row is going to give the Japanese all sorts of trouble.
The linchpin for the Fijians is how well Raulini and Little can control this back line. If this back line gets enough ball, they're going to be pretty tough to beat.
Referee this afternoon, Marius Jonker from South Africa. His first test in 2005 was between Zimbabwe and Uganda. He's come a long way since then.
As long as we play ball, eh?
But what I was going to mention was on the front of the jersey, one of the players had taped something. I know the Fijians, quite a religious group, actually had Philippians, which is a Bible verse on the front of their jersey. Something that's extremely important to them, gives them a lot of belief.
Right, thanks.
So this match in Pool B, Fiji's first. Japan, of course, played the Wallabies down in Lyon on Saturday.
White.
And the Welsh beat a spirited Canadian outfit on the weekend as well. Fiji will be looking to get off to a flying start, and Nicky Little gets things underway. Ball immediately to the big Fijian Leirare. Raluni, Little. Strong centres, both Fijians here this afternoon. Little and wide to Rutuvo. Delisau, no stranger to the Rugby World Cup. So the Fijians through Little. Raluni, to the right they go. Delisau once again, good defence from the Japanese. Rambeni. Rutuvo. So the Fijians, an early opportunity. Crash ball. Raluni, his pass is sharp. They go wide, this is Guerra. Still they go to Fijians, and into touch. The big winger is Soa Nevua. So early opportunities for Fiji, but the Japanese defence is willing.
You can see the Fijians are going still a fraction lateral for my liking. However, they are changing the point of attack quite regularly, which is something a little bit different. Great tackle there by the Japanese winger Lomar.
Again, line-out time, the Japanese are going in and up before the Fijians have even set up defensively. The impressive part is offside.
So the first penalty of the match is awarded to Japan. Nishiura, the big prop, getting busy there.
The impressive part about the Fijians there, and this is what Sevens, I reckon, teaches a lot of players, the ability to recycle with only one or two cleaners there, so they don't have to overcommit. The hard part is, though, they're not going to play channels.
Well, that's all about being efficient at the breakdown. Talk about in Australian rugby, one bullet, one kill. You know, it should only take one man to take out one opposition at the breakdown.
So the kick has not found touch. The Fijians return it. And the first penalty for Fiji this time. They look to play on quickly, and that's the style of rugby that they want to inflict on the Japanese this afternoon.
You go, come here. Where's the captain, please? Number 8. Here, will you stay with me, please?
I think he's been nailed for the shoulder charge there.
You need to understand to keep this positive, right? Okay. Otherwise, some of your players might end in trouble. Is that sorted? Yeah. Convey the message, please. Thank you. No arms. Yeah, number 6.
Well, that was Niavo, the one who hit Scotty Farber, so he obviously likes a big contact. Sorry, Fiji.
The Japanese penalised for not using their arms in their tackle, and Nicky Little points to the sticks.
We've got blood here.
Nevua, in his first touch of the ball, a little bit hesitant. Seemed to slow down a little bit in contact. He even looks like a Ruthau, I must admit, in terms of his build. And the talk out of Fiji is that he is very powerful through the tackle, like Rupenny. Got a very powerful midsection.
Fijian coach Ili Tambua comparing Nevua to Thau as Rutuvo receives attention, and Nicky Little has played plenty of tests for Fiji, man of great experience, and puts the first points on the board for the Flying Fijians. They're off to a flying start, 3-0 over Japan.
Well, my apologies, that was Makiri from as opposed to Niavo in terms of the contact, but just lovely to see that the Fijians quite a lot of confidence now about this team. It's funny how they seem so incredibly confident against a team like Japan and maybe not against teams of greater size.
There's no doubt they have a genuine game plan. That's no disrespect for them, but we have seen in some games they come out and literally treat it like a 7-a-side game of rugby, but with 15 men. There's no doubt Ili Tambua has them following a very strict game plan, which players of this nature do need something to follow.
John Kerwin indicating before this Rugby World Cup that he wanted his Japanese side to be the fittest team here. Fijians not renowned for their fitness towards the back end of the match. Maybe that will be significant later on, but for now, Raluni. The Saracens halfback also played a lot of his early rugby for the East Tigers. Bottomley Park back in Brisbane. The Japanese through Aruga return.
The Fijian fullback Tuvo has been replaced by Norman Dengari. So an early blow there for the Fijians.
The Fijians have stolen it. Leawere did well. Through the backs, the ball flies. Play on, says the referee. Little. Rambeni it was who couldn't take that pass, so the advantage being played. We'll come back for the scrum.
Well, the Fijians look to have plenty of space and plenty of time to work with the ball there, which surprises me a bit. The Japanese against the Wallabies were sprinting out of the line, putting a lot of pressure on the Wallabies. This Japanese back line just seems to be holding back a fraction.
So some early adversity for the Fijians. As Ben Chun mentioned, their fullback Retuvo is off the field and Norman Lingeri is on. And Nicky Little also receiving some treatment there for a hip injury.
It just seems they have an enormous amount of width, Chinny, but they're not making the passes when they should. They had a two-man overlap there on the outside.
Engage, keep it up.
Ball funneled back to Rauluni. Little finds an inside man, Rambeni. Advantage being played to Japan, and the referee Marius Jonker comes back for the scrum.
Like classic OI play, outside-in play performed by the Fijians there. That's 10 and 12 running across, bringing 13 back. The whole idea there is to get the Japanese 10 and 12 sprinting out of the line and leaving a big gap, I guess isolating the Japanese number 7 in defence. The gap opens up for the 13 to run through. Executed quite well, obviously fell down with that last pass there.
Tomoki Yoshida has the job of feeding the scrum for the Cherry Blossoms. Yoshida, of course, replacing the man who did the job in Leon on the weekend, Yatomi, who takes his spot on the bench.
It's excellent to see the referee just showing a little bit of patience. Just want to hear him speak. A little bit of patience with both teams at scrum time. There's a huge amount of eagerness. You want to engage and hit as hard as you can. No one wants to go backwards. Fijians are not making the mistake of hitting and sitting. They've got to keep pushing through the contact.
Ili Tambua stressing the importance of the set pieces for the Fijians during the week. The Japanese through Robbins. The kick downfield has found touch. And so the line-out will take place, and in that line-out, New Zealand-born Luke Thompson for Japan will be the go-to man for them.
Well, definitely he'll be making the calls. You can see them organising their defence as we go. They call him the mailman because he delivers.
Time will tell this afternoon as Retuvo returns from the blood bin, or is about to. Leawere flew high and earns possession for the Fijians.
Good flat attack from the Fijians off that line there.
Rauluni, and that's good defence from the Cherry Blossoms. Rauluni, to the right they come, Little. Rambeni once again couldn't take the pass. The advantage to Japan. Klanishi doing some good work in that piece.
Clever little kick. Let's see how good the chase is.
And so the Fijians have failed to find touch, and an opportunity for Yoshida to pass in field, find his support. Philip O'Reilly did well. To the left they come. And driven into touch is the inside setter for Japan, Onishi, and Delasau was the man who delivered that tackle.
I'm sure Bai called for this ball, not the best option, no room to move. The last thing you want to do there is to go out and give the Fijians the ball off a line.
Sunia Koto. And that's scrappy ball for Fiji.
Isolated chase.
And Delasau measures his options, hasn't found touch. Endo. Yasuki Endo has a big rap on him, this Japanese winger.
Fair call on the referee. Japanese way too slow to get to Endo there to help him out. The Fijians, they're obviously very strong players, so they're very tough to get off the ball when they're firmly in the right position.
You've got to at the very least start on your feet as opposed to straight down to your knees. I know the height is an issue, but you've just got to get down there.
So Little with the banana kick, as we've seen in a couple of games during the tournament, boys. In the early stages, both sides just failing to get that cohesion, that combination. There's some rust and some cobwebs out there. Of course, the Japanese side, it's their first hit out as well because they didn't play against the Wallabies on the weekend.
Exactly right, Rupert. It does take a little while to get that cohesion right. 9 times out of 10, you haven't played alongside these, your teammates for probably a month or so.
Little crash ball, Fiji. So Retuvo is back on as Japan turn it over. Again, the pass to Lamanu was off the first bounce. Retuvo back out there.
Get onside, White, move White.
Sinks the right boot into it, and it's juggled once but taken well by Japan. Here come the cherry blossoms. Intercept Fiji. Back inside, Guerra's pass. Down the right-hand side is the big man, Sisa Koemembole. They turn it over again, Fiji, and Yoshida. And his kicker combined to find touch. 3-0 to Fiji.
So the restart of play after 10.5 minutes. Japan with a little bit of a relief after some sustained pressure from the Fijians.
The Japanese, I think, were fairly lucky to get out of that turnover unscathed. The Fijians absolutely magnificent with non-turnover ball.
Thompson did well in the line-out, and the Japanese have put it high. And De La Salle cleans up for Fiji.
Run away.
Rauluni and Little combine this time, and Little puts that one into touch. So it's a cliche, as they say in the classics, the settling period, a bit of a scrappy affair to start with. Let's hope that both sides can find their best form soon.
Safe option there from Nicky Little to clear that ball. The thing about the Japanese, if they can continue that tactic, try to pin the Fijians inside their own 22 for an extended period of time, the Fijians will actually start running that ball, and that's when mistakes will happen, and the Japanese can try to capitalise on those mistakes.
So advantage being played to Fiji, and the penalty now awarded. Marius Jonker.
Yeah, right. Holding on.
Penalising the Japanese, as you heard, for not releasing the ball.
Well, therein lies the weakness of the quick front throw at the line out. The Japanese are hitting the ball at the 5, the 9 that has to make an extraordinarily long throw, and it's a long way for the forward pack in order to make it the first breakdown, which means centre's got to clear out. Sometimes you get that turnover.
Nicky Little, that's an ordinary kick from the Fijian fly half.
Yeah, rookie mistake. Instead of a line out, 10 metres out.
Confident line out win and clean ball for Fiji.
Once again, Rambeni, that's the third knock-on that he's made in the match, and Japan match it in that respect. So Ili Tambua, a few headaches in the grandstand.
Well, look, Rambeni's running a fantastic hard line there. But the Japanese are very committed in defence. We saw that against the Wallabies early on. They made those low tackles. They weren't shying away from the physicality of the match. Rambeni's just got to hang on to that pill.
But his focus at this stage, Tunie, what do you do if you drop your first 3 catches in a game of rugby?
It's a cliche again, but it's get back on the horse. You've got to touch that ball again and make a positive play as soon as you possibly can.
That's
Can
an
be as
excuse.
simple as I used to use a very simple switch play. Get me back into the game.
Touch. Pause. Engage.
Yoshida for Japan. Passes to the left. The kick through once again from Japan. Fielded by Retuvo, and the mark is paid. So Retuvo, the Saracens outside back, sets the Fijian back line on that line. It's Nguera. Nguera still running. Navua. Finds the support play. Saumaya by 10 metres out the Fijians, and De La Salle looking for work. Navua once again takes the hit.
Oh, they've turned it over.
Get on side, White.
So the Fijians, some really exciting play there from them, but once again they've turned it over. And the Japanese picked up the bootlaces by Retuvo. Luke Thompson. The mark is paid by Marius Jonker.
You see what the Fijians are capable of with a bit of space. I think that was just a chip through, but there's plenty of space out wide and they're not afraid to throw it around if need be.
Well, the thing about that is they're playing sevens rugby in order to get down the field, but sometimes you've got to play 15s to score, and they made the mistake there of undercommitting to the breakdown. You know, they didn't commit the Japanese forwards, turn the ball over.
Exactly, Ben Darwin. I bet you if the camera panned out there, there's probably 8 or 9 Fijians out on the wing.
Sunia was the cry from the line out, and Sunia Koto delivers. Rauluni Little dummies, takes the tackle. Little, the nephew of former All Black Walter Little. I'm sure that his coach has played against Walter Little, and the Japanese coach John Kerwin has played with him. Rauluni Rambeni hangs onto it this time. This time the ball is recycled for Rauluni. Little back inside is the prop, Kiendravu. They've turned it over again, the Fijians, and Yoshida on the counter-attack. The left foot stab, and are the Japanese kicking a little bit too much?
Oh no, I'm quite happy with that tactic at the moment. You've got to get the big Fijians turning around, try to wear them down. That turnover is purely a byproduct of 3 or 4 dominant tackles by the Japanese.
So just over 15 minutes gone. Lestad, Toulouse, and the Fijians have the advantage, 3-0.
But back at Toulouse, 16 minutes gone. One of the Fijians having some padding removed. Gera from under his jumper.
And Gera makes very interesting reading, this young flanker from Fiji, Akakusi Ngera. His brother played for Fiji, his father played cricket for Fiji. And he's got a big rap on him now, playing his rugby for Gloucester in England. Line-out steal from Japan. Their tactics to play the game in this half of the field and now use their backs.
The thing about the Fijians is, realistically, you can't run around them, you've got to run through them. So I expect the Japanese to employ tactics like this during the whole game.
So Yoshida looks for it.
Oh, silly.
Advantage being played to the Cherry Blossoms as their forwards drive it forward. Yoshida, Robbins, out wide. The pass to Imamura was out in front of him. He couldn't take it, so he'll come back for the penalty.
Good work from the Japanese. Were patient enough to hang on to the ball for a little while, try to suck in the Fijian defence, and a little bit of space opened up out wide.
Well, the one skill that Robbins has had playing further outside 10 than he obviously is today, because he's playing 10, is he's going to be able to spot gaps for his wingers. It wasn't a bad pass. It was taken, might have been a try.
The Fijians let themselves down, or have let themselves down in the past by their lack of discipline. Silly penalty they gave away there. They gave away right there. Just not necessary, really.
Shitaro Onishi has also played 5/8. John Kerwin has given that assignment to Bryce Robbins, a man of experience. But Onishi has the kicking boots on, and this is a fairly straightforward kick for him. Made his debut versus Fiji in 2000 and gets Japan away in Toulouse. It's 3-3 at Lestad.
18 minutes gone, the score's tied, the Mexican wave going around the Toulouse ground.
So the ball batted back by Japan. Aruga runs around. Rambeni takes the tackle now. Turnover to Fiji. Little down the right-hand touchline. The pass back inside to Ndalasau. Just managing to keep it in the field of players. Moses Rauluni sends it to the left. Once again, the Fijians making the mistake. Turnover for Japan. Yoshida, the pass is loose. Thompson shaped the kick, took the tackle. Will come back for the scrum.
What's killing Fiji at the moment is there's no question they have the cattle to score without problems. They can offload the ball, but they're dropping it, they're losing it at line out, they're getting pressured by the Japanese. If they simply hold on to the ball, they're going to have a successful day. That's almost a trip.
Well, they could find himself in a spot of bother, that Fijian defender. I think it was Ndela Sau, the winger.
Namura had an unmarked, I think, an unmarked Endo outside him. Would have been good to see Endo ball in hand with a bit of time to move.
All right, time on. Strung down. Red ball, not scored by white.
Yeah, De La Salle just getting the treatment there. You heard the call from the referee as we resume commentary. Lots of Japanese fans in this crowd. I think they would outnumber the Fijian supporters at the moment.
Excuse me. Go.
Japan, of course, aiming towards a home Rugby World Cup in 2015. John Kerwin does not want to return to Tokyo without a win on the board. They have a chance here against Fiji. Yoshida feeds. Rauluni.
I know you're trying for the ball. Hit him, okay? I know you're trying for the ball.
So Moses Rauluni, a brother of Jacob, who has also played for Fiji, is penalised there for using his foot in an illegal manner.
Japanese are getting a lot of stability out of their scrum, and that comes through height and binds, because I tell you what, it's not coming through weight at the moment. They're just setting themselves quite nicely, keep everything nice and tight together.
You don't kick up when you kick him, you put it in trouble, please. Be aware.
Masabara. Ball down for Yoshida. Kazuki Endo takes the hit. Back inside. Japan across the halfway line. Makiri. Thompson it is, picks and drives. The Japanese going forward.
Here.
So the pass out now for Kazuki Endo. He lays it back, Rauluni cleans it up. And into touch. The flag is up, the line out will take place.
Work from the Japanese. Endo obviously screaming to the fact that he was being marked up by a forward. I would have liked him to get that ball a fraction earlier. But in the end, still a pretty good result.
Let's play, we don't need it. Let's play.
Just statistically so far in the game, the Fijians have turned the ball over 10 times, and in a period of 21 minutes, that's absolutely going to kill you.
So a quarter of the way through this match or more, and that stat will really worry Eli Tambua, the Fijian coach. Taken well in the line out.
Hands off, red, leave it red.
The Fijians through Rauluni. He does the job himself on this occasion and finds touch. Endo looking to play on quickly, Kazuki.
Good box kick from the skipper. Just settling the Fijians down a bit.
Just a little bit of ill-discipline from the Fijians. The state, we talked about their level of turnovers. We saw one of the back rows is laying a punch into the head of one of the Japanese players there. Unnoticed by the touchy of the referee. But it'll be a happy group if they keep giving away penalties.
Philomonia De La Salle going for the Lottie Takiri look in this Rugby World Cup. Fellow Fijian, of course, Lottie Takiri, born in Suva, playing for the Wallabies, and that will be a big match on Network 10 this weekend when Australia take on Wales at Millennium Stadium. So the Japanese come away with a mistake by Fiji, and we've seen a few of them already. We see another one.
Another box kick, this time by the Japanese. Yoshida.
Lost forward, knock on by white.
Well weighted, fantastic chase. Plenty of pressure put on the Fijians. And they reap the results. Turnover ball.
So 3-3 is the score.
Flankers down.
And this scrum, significant platform for Japan to launch an attacking raid on the Fijian defence. Yoshida, Robbins, cuts 2 players, finds his support.
Roll away, white 7.
The ball spoiled
Release
by
it now,
Fiji.
white.
Play on, says the referee.
Hands off, leave it.
Rauluni. The pass back to Rambeni. And Aruga fields it for the Cherry Blossoms. Has plenty of time. Go Aruga. Finds his touch right on the halfway.
Well, we talked about what might work for Fiji before, for the Japan before the game. We thought maybe kicking in behind, that might have been their tactic against Australia. I'm just not sure if midfield starter plays are what's going to give them some success in this game. Maybe even swinging it wide early.
Well, no, you can't run around the Fijians. The midfield starter plays is the right option, but you've got to create some type of deception. You just can't send up Imamura straight up into the Fijians. You know, he's going to get hammered. He's got to create some type of deception around him so he can at least have a shoulder to target.
Leoravu in the line out for Fiji. They look to settle the Islanders. Raluni, pass to Little. He hoists it high, Nicky Little. And well taken by Lomanu, the big winger for Japan. Well, that loose pass picked up by Andelasau. Advantage Fiji as Andelasau.
Get away, advantage over.
Sets it up once again, Little. Or it's Rambeni, steps back inside. This time Graham Hughes. Ball 107 kilograms of him. And the Fijians once again sloppy at the breakdown and turn it over.
They're very energetic in the counter-ruck, the Japanese. That's what's getting them in a good position. Again, the Fijians are only using 1 or 2 cleaners at the breakdown, and at the moment it's not enough. It might be enough in sevens, but you've got more defenders. Just see here, number 2, the hooker just jumping in and across the breakdown. Comes in from the right channel, so he's fine. It was Koto. Sorry, that's Sabura.
3-3 Japan-Fiji.
Another break for injury to the Japanese player. Finally balanced this. 25 minutes gone. The Mexican wave started to lose a bit of interest in the crowd. I mentioned more Japanese fans than Fijians, but that may change because the vast number of these people are from neither country. So the way this game flows will be how the crowd judges who they're going to support in the final minutes. That'll be interesting.
So the crowd losing interest, and I think us like them would be disappointed with the way this game has begun.
Absolutely. The thing that worries me for the Japanese is the fact that they're playing very loose rugby, and that is exactly what the Fijians want. They need to tighten up their game a bit, play close. Ben Darwin has mentioned their scrum is doing particularly well, so they need to play to that to those set pieces, scrums and lineouts.
And Delasau fields the ball, returns. But the Japanese have the drive. And once again they emerge with it. The pass to Robbins, and Robbins over the head of Nauva. Naivua picks it up and sends it back. Well, he has had not much opportunity. This very exciting winger from Fiji is Soa Naivua.
Saw what he was capable of very briefly. Turnover ball a little while ago. Plenty of potential there. Good option there for Robbins, I thought. Put the ball in behind the Fijians. In general, the Fijian wingers probably aren't the world's best kickers. So you're probably going to get a net gain in terms of territory.
So advantage being played to Japan. And Bryce Robbins was just happy to take that advantage. Numbers not right for Fiji in the lineup.
No, too many defensively. It was a 4+1 and the Fijians had 5 or 6 there. It's just an easy read to make for them.
They play on quickly, the Japanese. To the left they come. Robbins throws the dummy. Tries to offload now, but only succeeds in knocking it on. So the trend of this game continues.
Both teams are showing that they can create plenty of opportunities. They're just shooting themselves in the foot. The Japanese then had a pretty big overlap out wide.
Yeah, without casting aspersions on either of these two teams, one of the great mistakes you can make is to watch the top 8 teams, you know, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, watch them do what they do and then try to make it work in your own way, because the skill level of your players might not be up to it. And you can see they're trying things they might not usually do, getting themselves in a bit of trouble.
The fashion accessories of rugby players in 2007, you see the gloves there, the Japanese prop, and Bryce Robbins wearing a sweatband, a red sweatband on his left arm. Have you ever seen that before, Tuning? I've seen it in tennis at Wimbledon, but not at the Rugby World Cup.
No, I haven't seen it often. Nothing surprises me anymore, Rupert, to be honest.
Well, a prop wearing gloves would make it obvious you might actually get your hands on the ball at some stage, and that's something we don't really do.
It is a humid afternoon at Toulouse, so there will be plenty of sweat and entertainment, we hope. Rambeni, Raluni and Little trying to dig Fiji. That ball was touched out of their own half. The juggle, then the catch from Kasuki Endo. Yoshida. So the captain, Miyoshi, takes the hit up. Yoshida, once again, Roberts, the cut pass. Unable to be taken, but Big Lumanu can pick it up. And with a full steam of pace, gee, I'd like to see him running freely this afternoon. Penalty, Japan.
Well, although they actually managed to get the penalty there was another turnover. And I guess you can see from the perspiration that both teams, on both teams' jerseys, that the ball is very slippery, but still at this level, there's only so many, I guess, excuses you can make for that many turnovers.
You're taking a shot.
So the Japanese will look to gain the lead in this match. Their skipper, or one skipper's already on the way home after the weekend. And this afternoon, Miyoshi just receiving some attention there.
Miyoshi, the Oxford University graduate. That's a massive game to play. I know a lot of ex-Wallabies, including Joe Roth, who played in the Oxbridge match, Oxford versus Cambridge in London. Often it gets 60,000 to the game.
Tamakishi Sasaki, last game's skipper for Japan, is heading back to his country with an injury. And Anishi makes no mistake, finds the lead for Japan in Toulouse.
Well, it's been a fluky sort of Wednesday. That's Paris time of the World Cup, because USA-Tonga was a sloppy game with a lot of handling errors, and this is the same so far. The Japanese ahead on penalty kicks.
Matsushiono did well at the kick-off. Yoshida and the Japanese look to run it. Now the kick off the left boot.
Tactic often used this day and age is a cut past the 13. Just give the kicker a little bit more time. With ball in hand, get a good purchase on the ball, and you end up kicking open, so you can normally isolate the winger or the fullback if the ball doesn't happen to go out.
This is an extremely versatile defensive line-out by the Japanese. The Fijians have only won 57% clean ball in their own line-out. They've won it there, but turned over again, and that's now 14 turnovers.
The nightmare continues for Ili Tambur and his coaching staff as once again Japan apply the tactic of kicking the ball, looking for territory. Fiji return the favour, and that is a big roost from the Islanders. The line out in their attacking half of the field, Moses Rauluni just urging his troops on. They haven't really hit their straps yet.
Well, they definitely haven't. There's a massive opportunity here for the Japanese. They get their act together to really punish the Fijians for all these turnovers. Unfortunately, they themselves have got, I guess, a little bit of the fumbles as well. So I guess they're cancelling each other out in some regards.
Hare Mikiri, the Tongan-born flanker for Japan. Once again, that tactic of finding Imamura off the cutout pass and then employing his left boot.
Well, in that example, they end up passing it back about 10 metres, kicking it out, and the line out is pretty much in the exact same position that it came from, except now Fiji had the ball, so probably not the smartest tactic in that circumstances right there.
So Koto's throw is won by Thompson. He did very well, Ben Darwin.
Well, they just move so beautifully, the Japanese in defence. They haven't got height, but what they have got is speed, and they're getting up before the Fijians are even getting there themselves.
Robbins, Retuvo waits underneath it, evades one, bumps off another, and then loses the ball. Well, that's the combination that Ili Tambur will be talking to his players at half-time about. 8 minutes to go until Oranges, and Retuvo shakes his head.
Well, he did everything right. Great take, great footwork, beat the first defender. Started to look to link up with his teammates to try to initiate a raid downfield, but then, of course, the fumbles came into play and another turnover.
6-3 Japan lead as Yoshida earns a short arm for his country. Miyoshi. Yoshida sends it to the left. Here comes Japan. Endo. Well, the pass wasn't great for Kasugi Endo, and he wasn't able to take it. He'd be disappointed that he wasn't treated better on that occasion because he had a little bit of space, quite possibly an opportunity.
An absolute opportunity there. If that pass could have hit the target, it would have given Endo a bit of room. With his footwork, the result could have been anything.
Leoravu for Fiji. Funnels it back to Leoere. Now Rauluni. Well, heard the defenders calling it box kick, Rauluni saluted. Back inside Aruga. Some of the Japanese forwards a little bit slow to get back to this breakdown. So Robbins hoisted high for Japan. And waiting underneath it, a big Fijian second rower. Or back row in Nayavo.
The Fijians very slow to get back. A lot of pressure on Raulini.
So Japan come away with it through Philip O'Reilly. This time they spin it. Lomanu. This ruck midfield, Japan have options left and right. Yoshida sums up the situation.
Trying to just re-engage. I'm not sure if anyone knew what they were going to do next. And they've turned it over.
So it looked like a turnover to Fiji, but they were unable to come up with the ball, and so the referee Marius Jonker is packing the scrum down. Japan to feed.
I think that the thing there is having someone who normally plays 10. Robbins hasn't played 10 for 3 years, to my understanding. So having someone who normally plays 10 can give you a little bit of direction. They were sitting midfield. No one was giving them anything. In that situation, a good side like New Zealand would just hit 10, kick to the corners.
Thank you very much.
Tension for Henry Kiadreu, the Fijian number 3, and this is a frustrating game. I'm sure both coaches will be looking for some big improvement in the second half. 5 minutes to go in this one, and it's equal with the lowest scoring half of the Cup so far. Georgia and Argentina last night, 6-3.
Great opportunity for Japan in the shadows of half-time. They turn it over though, and here comes Fiji. You can almost put down the asses. The big Fijian in Akapusi Ngera gets things on the board in the try department for Fiji. He plays in the back row, but he's got plenty of pace, and he showed it right there.
Well, Ruben McCall, you told me this bloke has scored 100-metre tries before. I didn't quite believe you, but now I do. And Ngera showing an absolute clean pair of heels. Have a look at that.
A great exponent on the 7th circuit, Akapusi Ngera. Well, the only skill that he had to show there was speed, and he had that in abundance.
Oh, he certainly did. There's nothing worse as a back when you can't run down a forward. No offence forwards, but speed is supposed to be a back's main weapon. He could show a few of us up, I think, Ngera.
Nicky Little converts the try from Ngera. And Fiji lead 10 points to 6. There's the human skewer himself, Ili Tumbua, who played in the back row for Fiji. He'd be happy with the young man Ngera, who's playing his rugby for Gloucester in England. He scored that 100-metre intercept try against Japan in the Pacific Nations Cup, and John Kerwin says, here we go again. Akapusi Ngera in full flight. And let's hope that that breaks the shackles on this match in general, and we see a little bit more of that. Bryce Robbins with the restart. So Japan had the opportunity. The Fijians spoiled, ran away and scored the try. That will take the wind out of the sails of the Cherry Blossoms just before half-time, as touch is found.
Great chase from the kick-off there from the Japanese lock. Oh no. But again, missing first-up tackles becomes absolutely crucial when you're playing a team as good on their feet or as good with ball in hand as the Fijians are.
You can see the Fijians using a technique of stepping across the line out. 9 times out of 10, the Japanese are going quick at the front. Now they take the back, beautifully taken. The Fijians defensively have given up on the back of the line.
Keep it up.
Masabara to Thompson. You'll see that combination more than once at Toulouse this afternoon. The Cherry Blossom showing what they're capable of with the rolling ball. Yoshida. Robbins. The ball comes out the back line. In the mirror.
The rock, stay there, White. Sit back.
Slow ball for the Japanese.
Yoshida.
They function best on quick ball, so that's something they're really going to have to work on in the second half.
Fiji with plenty of time there to get their defensive line set. The pass comes wide, unable to be taken by Miyushi. This is the loose forward, O'Reilly. Yoshida back to the right. Endo looking for some action. Yoshida wraps around, takes the pass. The big man Nishiura breaks down for Japan. Play on. Aruga funnels it back. Advantage being played at Japan.
And again, slow ball. I just don't think they have strong enough ball carriers to win this game with continual slow ball.
Well, Japan.
Why did he pass that?
The indecision of the halfback there is claimed by the defence. The referee blows his whistle.
To me, Robbins is looking extremely uncomfortable at 10. He's missed his wing 3 times. He was clapping for the ball there, but wasn't running onto it, so he's now decided to go across field. Let's listen to the ref.
Yeah. Made contact? Yeah. I'm going with the yellow. Right. You made contact, you're short. Number 14. Number 14.
And De La Salle's the man called out.
Swinging arm. Dangerous. Wrong.
So the Lottie Takiri look-alike. Villamoni and De La Salle receives the yellow card, and that will test the Fijians in the last few seconds of this first half and the first 10 of the second.
Yeah, when we talked about the discipline of the Fijians has let them down so many times in the past. I'm sure Ili Tabur will be absolutely filthy at De La Salle there. They've just scored a try. They're just starting to get their act together. And he now leaves them the first 10 minutes of the second half a man down.
Well, Dora, I thought one of his earlier tackles was a little bit suspect without using the arms in a shoulder charge like thing. So discipline from De La Salle not quite up to scratch.
Well, you've got to get the rap on, don't you? We all know that from watching Butch James. The thing for me is, again, ill-discipline. It's absolutely cooking the Fijians. They're still up 10-6. Realistically, they could be up by a lot more if they stop dropping the ball, hitting their passes a little bit better, getting the recycle going. They are a 30 or 40 point better team than Japan.
So this for a 1 point gap. Anishi, he does well, Shitaro Anishi. And from his boot, 3 penalties. Japan trail Fiji 10 points to 9. The only try of the match thus far through the excitement machine, Akapusi and Guerra. It's half-time at Toulouse at Le Stade.
Successful in number 12, Shitaro Anishi in Japan. The score Japan 9, Fiji 10.
Well, there'll be a fair bit of talk about ball security from both coaches at half-time in this game between Japan and Fiji at Toulouse. And yet again, we saw a try scored off a turnover in this World Cup. The only try of the match by Ingera. We'll have a look at that in just a moment, but there's been a lot of turnover ball in this game. And that's pretty much what kept it on the edge. Fiji took that commanding 10-6 lead, gentlemen, with the try, but a double blow. The De La Salle yellow card, which will mean he'll miss about 9 minutes of the second half, and then the Anishi penalty goal, reducing the margin to only 1. So it's still very tight.
It certainly is. 10-9 the score, and this is just one of the penalties, one of 3 that Anishi slotted over. The Fijians have shown glimpses of what they're capable of, but they just haven't been able to string it together.
Yeah, in general, I think the game's been very anticlimactic, and I'm sure the crowd is very frustrated because both teams are brimming with plenty of potential. The Japanese go into the halftime break 10-9, only 1 point behind, and they now play the first 10 minutes of the second half with an extra man. So these next 10 minutes for both sides, absolutely crucial.
For me, I think the Japanese need to solve their situation with 10, maybe put someone else in there, or maybe change their game plan to a certain extent. Talking of turnovers, 28 for the first half between the two teams, 16 by the Fijians. Japanese line-out defence has been performing particularly well. The Fijians only get 60% of their own ball clean, the Japanese been getting 80%. But as individual runners, they're excellent, the Fijians, aren't they?
That was almost the story of the first half for Fiji. Their fullback Kameli Rutuvo, as we see the try from Akapusi Ngera.
I'll tell you what, that turn of speed is electric. Absolutely electric. None of the backs were going ground there.
One thing that Fiji have as an advantage over the Japanese, they have some amazing individual finishes. Sevens has taught them that they can make easy passes and run free, and it must be incredibly intimidating as a Fijian player having a seven of you come at you of that size.
Such is the all-round ability, the great rugby talent of Akapusi Ngera. As Nicky Little converted the try, that in the year of 2006-2007 he finished runner-up in the Fijian Sportsman of the Year to the great golfer Vijay Singh. So he can sing on two legs. Ngera, have a look at him, pin the ears back, son, score the try. And if Fiji can play that style of game, they're capable of scoring plenty of tries in a short space of time.
What we saw happen with the Japanese against Australia is the game went on and they got fatigued, the tackles started to go higher, and if there's one team whom high tackles is not going to work, it's this Fijian side. So it's the skill level, for me, that's probably the biggest question, and the discipline from the Fijians. If they can get that done, they'll come away with this game.
I think it's fair to say, Ben Darwin, that the Fijians have had enough ball, just they haven't used it very well. As you mentioned, the turnover stats are horrendous for this standard of game, really. And there's De La Salle putting his team in all sorts of trouble now for the next 10 minutes.
Onishi capitalised on the opportunity, scored the 3 points that made it 10-9 at half-time.
Well, that could turn out to be a very, very important kick, because the potency of the Fijians was starting to tell, and that try might have just broken a little of the Japanese spirit. But now a bit of a turnaround of this game, and as I mentioned, De La Salle with that yellow card missed about a minute of that first half, so we'll see what the Japanese can do in the first 9 minutes of the second. They need to get the ball in hand, obviously, to make the most of this deficit. So after the break, we'll come back with more of this game. Fiji 10 leading Japan 9 from Toulouse. Which team will be the first to employ some discipline and sustained ball control in this game? I suspect they will be able to set up a victory if they can do so, as we return to commentary here on a colourful day in Toulouse.
Fiji will have to do that without their winger, Villamoni and De La Salle, for the first 10 minutes of this half.
And Rugby there, the tight head prop for the Fijians. Actually had a lot of rugby coming out of Canberra. Was with the ACT Rugby Juniors. Shows a lot of potential as a player, still quite young for a prop.
Japanese coach, All Black legend Jonker, well, he's smiling. I guess he should be smiling. 10-9 after what would be considered a pretty ordinary first half display. They're still in the hunt.
Well, Japan only trailed by 20 at half-time against the Wallabies on the weekend. The Australians put a score into them after that. What are the Fijians capable of? Ili Tambua, their coach, I'm sure, would have relished the opportunity to get his boys and get their heads in the right place for this second half, because they've made plenty of mistakes in the first.
Well, how much tuning did the Fijian side miss Thautau Mbuka? He's probably one of the world's greatest finishers. In the last World Cup, he's got some unbelievable tries for this side. Is there a difference in him not being there?
Oh, Ben, to be honest, not overly. I mean, I think finishers are not what they're missing. It's playmakers, it's players that can stabilise their team, stick to a game plan. They got plenty of ability to score tries. They just seem to shoot themselves in the foot after a couple of phases. So I think they're really missing an accomplished 10 and 12 combination.
It's been a warm afternoon in Toulouse, Le Stade. As 35,000 plus rugby fans prepared themselves for the second half. This match being brought to you back in your lounge rooms in Australia on digital high definition. Stay with us. The great matches of the Rugby World Cup. And we'll see plenty of those. South Africa playing England on Friday night. Wales playing Australia on Saturday night. But for now, Marius Jonker checks the watch. And Bryce Robbins will get things back underway.
Captain White. Number 9. Red.
So Robbins kicks off to a 14-man Fijian side for the first 10 minutes. As the shadows descend upon Lestat in Toulouse.
Stay.
And we start where we ended the first half, a Fijian turnover. Robbins dishes to Imamura.
Hands off, Rob!
Fijians
Leave it White!
missing a right winger now, so some really smart tactical kicking by the Japanese can really bring, in fact they're attacking down this left-hand side.
Miyushi Lamanu looking to get involved.
Advantage offside!
Advantage being played, you heard the referee. Robbins, to the right they come. Back inside, the Japanese attacker met by the Fijian defence.
Still playing advantage offside.
So advantage continues, Yoshida. What can the Japanese give us? Oh no.
Leave it White!
So Yoshida harassed there at the breakdown, so the referee will bring it back for the early infringement, and Japan could well take the lead.
Being a man down can do unbelievable things to your psyche when you're defending as a team. Being a man down, you automatically think you need to come up faster, you need to cover more ground, which is obvious. Inevitably, mistakes are made, penalties are given away. Perfect opportunity now for the Japanese to go into the lead for the first time in the game.
Biggest mistake in rugby is acting above your station, trying to do something that isn't your job, and that's exactly what Tune's talking about.
So Shitara Onishi responsible for all 9 of the Japanese points this afternoon, 3 from 3. This will put them in the lead. Onishi from the Yamaha club in Japan made his debut against Fiji back in 2000. And Onishi, he makes the Japanese supporters in the crowd nice and happy as they take the lead.
White, the ball only.
Nicky Little gets play underway here. Japan again looking to capitalise. 7 more minutes without De La Salle on the field for Fiji.
So the Japanese in control. Rolling it downfield. It's good work from O'Reilly. They break away now. Japan, the pass back inside, well taken. Yoshida.
Robbins. Fijians a shorter winger on that right-hand side.
Oh, almost an intercept there from Rambeni. Japan toe it ahead. They give chase. And Ratuvo saves the day for Fiji and finds touch. That will relieve the pressure.
You can definitely see the Japanese want to attack that right-hand flank of the Fijians, which is obviously minus their right-hand winger in that occasion. It nearly became a little bit of a debacle for them, but the intent is definitely there.
They just don't seem to be deep enough on that left-hand side, the Japanese. Robbins has got to offset his back line because they've got so many numbers comparatively.
So Masabara finds Makiri, and once again the driving, rolling maul from the Cherry Blossoms. Miyushi in there, looking to get things happening for his side as Yoshida finds his man. Good work from the Japanese over the advantage line. Yoshida back inside, goes Onishi to the left, Yoshida this time, and Robbins. Cut out pass. Japan standing there forwards out in the back line. Luke Thompson turns it over though to Fiji. Rambeni looks to play on quickly. The Fijians kick it ahead. Taken well. Lamanu steps and stumbles. The pass was forward. Advantage to Fiji. And Marius Jonker blows the whistle.
Yeah, that was forward. That was a good metre forward.
That's what comes when you got a good chase. Guys under duress make passes they shouldn't have to.
And on the other hand, I guess the fact that you're playing a side with one man down, sometimes do you tend to overplay it, thinking that you have to score whilst you've got that advantage?
Absolutely. The key here to beat the Fijians right now, make the most of this opportunity, is smart tactical kicking, because they don't have a right winger. So just kick down that side.
Time off.
Leawiri with a crook ankle, getting some attention there. Just putting the weight on it now to test it out. Time off, of course, but the time is ticking down on the resumption of play for this man to rejoin the game.
There's a mark from closer, please, Japan.
So there he is, Delasau. Leawiri, one of those Fijian players that plies his trade in Japan for Hino Motors. So he'll know a lot of these Japanese players. The other, of course,
okay, boys, let's go.
The forward pack for Fiji, Samisi Mayavo, who plays for the NEC Green Rockets back in Japan. Well, interesting tactics there from Kaya Mambole, the Fijian number 8, trying to get the shunt on. And the penalty to Japan, so once again the Fijians botch it. Frustration continues for the Fijian coach, Ili Tumbua. Bryce Robbins takes his time. Oh, great skills there from the Fijian winger. And now he's driven into touch, Navua.
The Fijians had a fantastic opportunity. The Japanese, Robbins in particular, butchered that kick. Unfortunately,
Navua was the man.
Yeah, Navua undid a lot of the good work that he did at the beginning.
Well, the result is still the same for Japan. They have the line out, and Yuji Masabara. Once again, it's a good line out for Japan, but it splutters and stutters for Yoshida. He steps back off the right, almost emerges out the other end for Japan. No halfback.
See, a crossfield kick here would be ideal. The last man for the Fijians is Rambeni, the 13. You can see how wide the Japanese are standing.
So again, the trend continues, the turnovers, the knock-ons. Makiri's pass was put to ground and another scrum to pack down.
Lovely moment there. The 9 goes into the breakdown. The 2 props are standing in the back looking at each other, both saying, I don't want to play halfback. We'll both dive in. 6 comes and plays halfback instead.
Keep it up.
Rauluni.
Use it.
He wants to play halfback for Fiji. He's done it for a long time, and he's done it with great style. Rauluni flicks it out wide to Navua. Back inside. It's that man again, Akapusi Ngana. He runs it round closer to the sticks. And Fiji, in the blink of an eye, score a try, and it's Akapusi Ngana. That's 2.
Well, that's classic Fijian play, isn't it? Give them a bit of time, a bit of space, offloading the ball and finding their support players, and they've got plenty of them. It was only a matter of time.
Well, the one thing Fijian have got is finishes. Rauluni, just a lovely line. We can see Robbins hasn't been able to hit a target wide all day. Rauluni can really set up the try there. Lovely pass. Just going around under the sticks to make it easier for his kicker.
Great support play from Ngera. Following the play all the way through that channel, waiting for his opportunity, and he gets well rewarded for it with his 2nd try of the day.
Step back inside Onishi just to give his kicker a better opportunity for the conversion, but great vision from Rauluni.
Time back on.
Is that the try scorer?
Yeah, it is. Ingera.
Well, Fiji wouldn't want to lose him.
I didn't see anything. A sniper, perhaps.
Ben June's been shot by a few of those in his rugby career over the years. But Navua did well as in the same token, just took the tackle of Lomanu and passed back inside to Ingera. Nicky Little converts over the top of the injured Ingera. 17-12, the Fijians lead.
Delasau returning to the field from the sin bin, so Japan now will have to consolidate and exert some control to get back in this game, which has seesawed since the beginning. 30 minutes to go.
And Japan immediately an opportunity on the back of a Fijian mistake. To the left they go. The dummy inside. He'll go all the way. That's Luke Thompson, the New Zealand-born second row for Japan. And immediately they reply and level things up here at Toulouse. 17-all with the kick to come.
Stunned.
Yeah, that's backering.
Well, Robbins has been battling at first receiver all day, so what should we do instead? Get someone in the tight five to do it. Here he is, first receiver. They look at him, well, he's going to shift the ball. No, he's not. Steps inside. Fullback's not home. He's gone to the wing. Try.
That's very hot and cold for the Fijians. They can do something brilliant and then just drop their concentration. Left foot step. Tomo, as he's known.
Thompson. Well, it was his New Zealand-born countryman Bryce Robbins, who was not standing at 5'8". He decided to do the job, and didn't he do it well? Didn't lay a glove on him until the attempted tackle from the fullback in Retuvo from Fiji. It was too little too late for them. And Anishi finds the lead for Japan. The fluctuating fortunes at Toulouse. They're up by 2, the Cherry Blossoms.
Let's hope the butterflies are gone, because that's what we didn't see enough of. Well, as I say so, could be another turnover here. Fiji on the attack.
So the seesawing nature of this game continues as Delasau finds Sissi. No halfback there for Fiji. So the big prop picks up and does the job himself. Rauluni lets Delasau make the pass. Rabbeni.
Hands off, Red, then go! Red, run!
Fijian standing out to the left. And Rauluni goes that way, Little. Steps off his left. Takes the tackle. Rauluni. That's by backing around to the right. Advantage Fiji. Rauluni puts his head down.
Hands off, Red!
Rabbeni. Nicky Little scoops the pass along the back line. Ngera back inside. It's the way Fiji play it in Delasau.
Let it go, 4!
This is when the Fijians are at their most dangerous.
Little.
When it becomes like a 7-a-side game. Look at the numbers they got right now.
Jeremiah by the advantage was being played by Marius Jonker for a high tackle. That was the 10th phase from Fiji.
Number 13, please. 13, 13.
Imamura being called out by the referee.
Watch the tackles, please. Lower.
So ill discipline from Japan in that instance, and Nicky Little can get Fiji ahead on the scoreboard if he is successful.
You can see the Fijians, after 3 or 4 phases, become a little bit lost. And that's when they resort back to just individual brilliance. Try to find somebody with a bit of space, let them weave their magic. The Japanese can tackle well, push them beyond that 4 or 5 phase mark, and not give away silly penalties when they're in with a chance.
Well, the penalty was given and the penalty was taken by Nicky Little, and the lead taken once again by Fiji, 2019.
54.5 minutes gone. Fiji once on the attack, and that last score came from a Japanese turnover, and there's another one, but not gone both ways.
A little Gawaruga couldn't handle that one, and Fiji, just when you think they're going to run it, they'll kick it.
See it in the eyes, can't you? Someone coming under the ball and you've got a massive Fijian pouring down on you is when the mistakes are made.
I think they call that having a look. Aruga. He took his hands off the ball, and Fiji through Rauluni's feet with his scrum. The ball to Rauluni, Little. Crashes it up. To the right once again, Little. The cut-out pass. Space for Ratuvo. And Belisau back inside. Rambeni is over. Samu Rambeni. He had the size, he had the momentum, and now he's got the try.
The Fijians, great exponents of space. Space spotted on the right-hand side of the field. They got the ball there quickly. Great interchange of passing. And Rambeni had the honour of the touchdown.
Junior, you mentioned earlier in the game the midfield hit-up was the smart play. It's worked here. They almost turned it over at the breakdown, but once they get it wide, their hands are just extraordinary, always running good support lines. There's always going to be another 4 or 5 Fijians there. Just, he was nice and conscious of where the try line was as well, rolled over the ball out.
The tackle of Tomoki Yoshida not enough to prevent Seru Rambeni from scoring the 3rd try for Fiji at Toulouse. The Fijians now showing what they're capable of. We saw the floodgates open with the Wallabies in Japan on the weekend. This is a better Japanese side, but are we going to see a little bit more of the same from Fiji now that they're starting to loosen up and string it together? The kick from Little out to the left.
Number 7.
We mentioned it earlier, the Japanese tackles are starting to come up. And rugby's like a 10,000 metre race in athletics. Everyone tries to hold the same pace until someone drops off. My feeling is the Japanese are starting to drop off in this game.
So the replacement made Akapusi Ngera. We saw him struggling with a leg injury before, and Ili Tambua doesn't want to risk that. The man taking the field, Asa Ratuva. Great take there from the restart. A flying Fijian proving exactly that. Rauluni, sharp pass to Little. Little's kick hasn't found touch Aruga.
Absolutely imperative now that the Japanese strike back quickly. They can't let the Fijians get away from them. They're nearly impossible to reel back in if they do, so they've got to score next.
Well, they're still within a converted try, the Japanese.
So, okay.
So the changes
Is number 9
starting to come now from the coaches.
Okay, right. Is that number 9 injured over there? All right, we'll get him
talked
off.
about the number of turnovers by the Japanese. They made, sorry, by the Fijians. They made 16 in the first half. In the second half, now after 17 minutes, it's running at 5-1, 5 by the Japanese, 1 by the Fijians. So they're settling down. The Japanese defence is not pressuring the Fijians as much.
We saw Yuki Itomi down in Lyon on the weekend. He had a pretty good game against the Wallabies. We'll see him again here right now because Yoshida has left the field. Itomi is his replacement. Sunia Koto looked for the replacement. Sloppy from Fiji, and Robbins takes the opportunity to get Japan back on the attack. Itomi, a little kick there from the Japanese centre.
Number 4-1. Thank you.
Moses Rauluni passes to Ratovo. And Japan from the counter-attack, well, they run into each other. Little Itomi got knocked out there, bounced back to his feet. And the referee plays on. Numbers for Japan, but they butched it. The movement breaks down, but the pass went back, so Japan still have it.
There's a little bit of lack of communication there from the Japanese. Running into
charge down There's a lack of communication. Not sure where Bryce Robbins was, but that kick goes astray.
Last feet wide.
Japanese rattle here now. Just a nice settling, clearing kick is exactly what they need. And they're setting up for it. Not sure he's going to perform it.
Yatomi finds Lomanu, the winger, takes the option of kicking. And it's not a bad roost from the big Tongan-born Japanese player.
Very good under the circumstances.
1-5 red.
108 kilograms, Christian Lomanu from the Saitama Institute of Technology, Gaoruga. He's off now on Hirotoki Onizawa. Played on the wing for the Cherry Blossoms against the Wallabies on Saturday. He takes the field.
Let's get all this sorted. Wait. Are we ready to go? Right, time on.
The Japanese, perhaps, or Jonker in particular, perhaps sensing the Fijians will start to tire in the last 20 minutes of the match. Starting to bring on some fresh legs to capitalise on that.
So we are down to the last 20, as Ben Chun mentioned, and Nicky Little playing for territory. Japan, Lomanu, and Delasau wraps him up.
Leave it there.
So it's a bit of a mess at the back of the ruck for Japan, but the Fijians have infringed, and away goes Yatomi, the little halfback. He's now tackled 30 out from the line. Fiji turn things over, but the penalty once again. And some dissent there from the Fijians, so Marius Jonker marches them another 10 down the field. Ratuva looked like the man
You end up in trouble.
who replaced the Ghana, giving that penalty away. And what will the Japanese do here? Will they opt for the line out or the penalty?
I think they'll kick to the corner and try to drive. They'll probably win it at 2. They're fairly confident in that. Try for a drive. Not sure if that'll work. Maybe shift it wide.
See again the Fijians lack of discipline, getting them in all sorts of trouble, putting their team under unnecessary pressure.
It's anyone's game here at Le Stade Toulouse. Masubara finds Mikiri, and the Japanese look to roll it forward. Masubara at the back. They roll to the left. Onwards they go. The Cherry Blossoms. Jonker looks for it. Jonker blows it. That's the try. Celebrated by the Japanese supporters in the crowd. It looks like the big prop forward. It's Tomokazu Soma, I think, at the bottom of that one. We'll get clarification. What I can tell you is that Japan has scored. It's number 1, Tashikishi Nishiura from the Coca-Cola West Red Sparks. 110 kilograms, pure muscle, finds the try line. And Japan, with this conversion, will have the opportunity to once again take the lead.
Well, the Fijians, they made the mistake of trying to take it to the ground too late. What they should have done is first contact, try to drive it back as much as they can and let the Japanese make the mistake. But they try to take it to ground, end up bringing the Japanese around the corner, set themselves nicely, drive through for the try. Very impressive by a smaller forward pack.
And the Fijians should be filthy at themselves for putting themselves in that position in the first place.
The intensity from Fiji is questionable. The unpredictable nature of their game. And Japan have been at this end of the field. They've let in 2 tries. And now this for Japan to take the lead. With 17.5 minutes left on the clock. Onishi, he's unable to do that. And so Fiji retain their lead by 1 in Toulouse.
Score 24, Japan 24. Japon 24, Fiji 25.
A quick apology as Nicky Little resumes play. We've had some breakups apparently in the audio feed from the World feed here at the World Cup. We're working hard at it, and hopefully it wasn't too much of an inconvenience. Back with the play.
So Takomi sets the back line alight, and here come the Japanese. Imamura finds Onizawa. So the replacement's doing well for Japan. Yotomi made a great break before. He looks to get busy again, runs into the imposing figure of Nayavo. Back to Robbins. And the kick from Robbins finds touch as Japan look to settle.
Robbins is beginning to look a little bit more settled in that 10 role. As we said, it's been 3 years since he's played it. He just seems to be a little bit more comfortable with his kicking game and his options.
I think the Cherry Blossoms in general, you can sort of tell that there's a lift in their, I don't know, in their attitude and their enthusiasm. I think they genuinely think they're a chance of winning this.
Well, the Fijians have let them back into the game a couple of times. Fiji have scored tries, only for Japan to reply.
All right, time on, let's go.
Let's go, all right. This could go down to the wire. 25-24 Fiji lead as the excitement builds at Toulouse. Great work there from big Lauaravu. Rauluni, the experience will come in handy. Little 60 tests. Out wide they come. Navua tries to get under one, does so. Still going Navua. He's pulled in, passes to his winger, and Delisau knocks on. Well, Rauluni and Endo going toe-to-toe.
Okay, 11 here for me and number 9. Number 11 and number 9. Time is off, Changers.
Navua ducking under the tackle.
And bring your captain with you.
Let's listen to what Marius Jonker has to
number
say.
Number 9, captain. It's been a fantastic game so far. I expect more from you. You're the leader. Don't get involved. Number 11. Right? Great game. Do not spoil it for everybody. Okay. Stay off the rough stuff. All right? Within law, please. Thank you. Sorry, mate.
Well, we talked earlier about how we were worried the Japanese might be a bit intimidated. I didn't see anything of that in that little Barney, so it's nice to see them having a crack at the Fijians if there's a stink on to react. Obviously not punching anyone, but not afraid to be try to physically intimidate the Fijians out of this game.
Moses Rauluni taking offence to that tackle by Endo. There wasn't too much in it. Moses just popped the knock on the head.
No, there wasn't too much in that group, and it was actually a good refereeing from Marius. Good to see Navua with a bit of room to move, opening up. I don't know if he's quite as quick as Ripeni Thao. I think Ripeni may have outskirted the Japanese defence there, but still showing a clean pair of heels, very strong in the tackle as well.
Well, this is an interesting replacement. Yotomi is off for Japan. He was the replacement halfback. Tyra's out there. He's not a halfback. Bryce Robbins is going to do the job.
Well, if we think it back a week ago, John Kirwan made that decision to rest a number of players against the Wallabies, and so far that decision is working. These Japanese players, if they played as a 15 5 days ago, they'd be in a lot of trouble right now.
So Robbins feeds the scrum. The Japanese, that was sloppy. Not sure he's played a hell of a lot of halfback, Bryce Robbins. He hasn't played in the number 10 for 3 years. As the Fijians turn it over, Koto. To the right they come. A little kick there from Navua to Delisau. Rambeni wraps. Advantage being played to Fiji. By finds support. And he crashes into the Japanese defence. Hands off red is the call at the breakdown by Jonker. Fiji, Rauluni excavates. Little, is there space out wide for the Fijians? By and communication breakdown between Saramiah Bai and Navua.
Well, there was only a communication breakdown if the winger was standing in this grandstand, because that pass was poor.
I think Navua was looking to come back in on the angle, and the pass was ordinary, full stop.
Definitely space out there for Navua. Just execution again, letting the Fijians down.
So there's little Yotomi. He's only been on the field for 5 or 10 minutes, but that doesn't look good for the Japanese reserve halfback.
Just love the setup here of the Japanese scrum. They really love squatting back down onto their second row in terms of their setup. Nice soft entry there by the second row. Good hit.
Kyle Mamboli once again, the extra shunt from number 8. And Robbins kicks it himself. It was touched in flight, and the penalty to Japan. 1 point in here at Toulouse. 13 minutes remaining.
Bryce Robbins is going to struggle with most at halfback is just how little time you have to do anything that you're trying to accomplish in that position.
So he takes on the extra responsibility of feeding the scrum Robbins. He still has that of kicking for touch. Didn't make a lot of ground there, Robbins, but this line-out will be Japan's throw, and they've been pretty handy in that area in this game.
They've been throwing 2 or 6. The Japanese, they either throw it in hard at the front, or as I said, the Fijians have been giving them the back. But it's a nice option. They're mostly putting in 7 mans. I think they've only thrown in the middle once in this game.
Billy Timbur making some changes for Fiji. The prop Henry Ngiandrabu leaves the field.
3 red.
My guess is that he'll be replaced by Johnny Railomu. That's confirmed. Railomu was on.
These tight jerseys are never kind to the props, are they?
He didn't mind so much before Nishiura when he scored that try for Japan. So, possession to Japan. Makiri settles the ship. Robbins waits at halfback. The Fijians lined out in defence.
Now the box kick is obviously the order of the day here, but Robbins is just not used to performing them with this much pressure on him. The Fijians borderlining on offside.
9 is such a specific position, particularly picking up the ball from the back of the ruck. The Fijians just feeding on that. Robbins there picking the ball up and they're thinking, well, now I've got to pass it. It's too late. There's 2 Fijians bearing down on him. This could provide them with an enormous amount of difficulty getting out of their 22.
You're spot on there, boys. Bryce Robbins has no option but to play halfback. Both of the Japanese halfbacks are injured. And that could be vital in the context of this match, the final 11 or 12 minutes. So they've swapped halfbacks now.
Well, that may just be in defence.
So Little, Rambeni, Ratuvo crosses the 22. Ratuvo still going. Nefua. The Fijians could almost put it beyond doubt. A converted try will be hard for Japan to answer. Koto bounces off one. It was his opposite number, Masamara. The Fijians pick and drive. Advantage being played and advantage accrues. So, if they play on and score a try, we'll take it out beyond that 7 points, but the penalty kick is also the option.
Well, this is an absolute given for 3 points. I think you have to take the 3 points at this stage.
Now, Moses Rauluni, a man of great experience, has played with Ben Chen.
Yeah, I have played with Moses. I actually disagree with his decision here to take the scrum, but they're going to back themselves, and you can never
do you want to do it now?
You can never blame somebody or get up somebody for backing their ability to score a try. Good on them.
If the Japanese can hold them out in this scrum and therefore the next 5 minutes, this could be the turning point of the game. If they somehow manage, and they're, in terms of their attack options, they're battling. No one knows where anyone is, and everyone's out of position in terms of Robbins, 9, 10, 12. But if they can get out of this position, they could still win the game.
So Norman Lingeri replaces Ndela Sau. And Moses Rauluni, well, the penalty kick would have taken it beyond that situation for Japan. If Fiji would have missed this opportunity, Japan could still win it on a penalty. But they backed themselves, the Fijians. And Rauluni sheds one, goes back inside. Leorabu, they're over the line, Fiji, and the decision vindicated. Fiji have scored. The try scorer kisses the ball, and they celebrate.
Well, they're all over the place there, Japan. They are Avre in for Fiji, and even I noticed just before that scrum, Bryce Robbins was limping. So they're under enormous pressure. Less than 9 minutes to go now. If Nicky Little can kick this, it gives the Fijians a very, very important buffer.
Well, Ruben McCall and Ben Darwin. Obviously, there's a reason Moses Rauluni is captain in his country, and I never have. Proving me wrong.
Well, I think your point was valid, but Moses Rauluni opted for a try or the opportunity to score one, and Laowere did that. Nicky Little, a very important conversion there, takes it beyond 7.
Well, exactly. It was a choice between being up by 6 or up by 8, and they took that option.
So 32-24 is the score at Le Stade Toulouse. And they're starting to run out of halfbacks, the Japanese. Robbins, the short kick. That was executed pretty well. There were Japanese players there to put pressure on the Fijian defence, but the ball rolls into touch.
Japanese really have to throw caution to the wind now. They need to score quickly. They need to somehow get this ball off the Fijians and make the most of it when they do. There's the ball. Well, there it was.
So the line-out turnover, back it comes for Fiji, and Rauluni, inspirational leader. Played for the East Tigers back at Bottomley Park in Brisbane. These days, it's halfback for Saracens. But his pride in playing for Fiji is unquestionable. His father, Taitao Rauluni, played for Fiji. His brother, Jacob Rauluni, played for Fiji. And now Moses, leading the way for the 2007 version. As Rambeni comes in to lend a hand. Rambeni, pass to the left, Little, the tip over, but it's gone forward.
To me, that last breakdown was about the lack of the fitness there by the Japanese. The forwards, once the ball goes back, you've got to work hard to get back onside to secure the ball for your own team. The forwards are absolutely very, very tired at the moment, and the Fijians just coming in over the top there and cleaning out nicely.
Point.
Nicky Little puts another 3 on the board for Fiji. Eli Tumbua looks suitably impressed. That margin now, 35-24 to Fiji. They're out by 11 and quite possibly home.
Well, until it gets beyond 14, Japan is still in this game with a minute to go. If they can score, they've still got a crack at it.
The Fijians playing with confidence now. Rauluni back to Little. And Nicky Little. Great experience of Little and Rauluni shining through at the moment. They're controlling things, whereas the Japanese have lost their halfbacks and things are a little bit disorganised. Their skipper there, Miyushi. What can he ask of his players? Can they get back into this match? Masavara. And once again, the cherry blossom line out, blossoming with the ball, and it comes to the right. Across the halfway line they go.
Hands up now,
Robbins digs in. Lomanu, the big winger looking for work, finds his support to the left. Makiri, Masabara, Onazawa.
Hands off, Tanaka, stay there, White.
Onazawa makes the pass this time, and Thompson takes it up, offloads.
Hands off, front, leave it.
The Japanese looking for something. Out to the right it comes. There's space. Right on the 22, the Japanese. Onishi lends a hand. This is Ono. Hitoshi Ono carries it forward. Advantage to Japan here is Endo. And that advantage accrues as Shitaro Onishi kicks it away.
Well, the Japanese there lost the ball, but unfortunately it was the Fijian defender who had not rolled away, so that's what the penalty is for. It's always about the way you fall.
So there'll be no penalty here. They really need a try.
Absolutely. Not even I'd go for a penalty here, Ruben. Line out's the option. Worked for them last time, driving more off the line out.
So Christian Lomanu finds touch for Japan. And this line out crucial.
As we said, because it's less than 14, they're absolutely still in this game. They'll go for the drive again. Last time they went to the back, 2-6 seems to be their two options. Back again.
Masabura goes to the back. Makiri brought it down for Japan. And here they go again. So much power there from Japan. Almost across the line. Driven back at the last minute by Nayago. Advantage being played. Makiri at the back. Still advantage for Japan. One pass off the ruck. Makiri. Must be a try. And it is a try to Japan. Celebrated by Luke Thompson. That's his second. And is there time for the Cherry Blossoms to pull off some sort of miracle here at Toulouse? There's just over 2 minutes on the clock remaining, and Luke Thompson does the job for the Cherry Blossoms.
Great spirit from the Japanese side. They're never going to give in. Rolling more from the line out. Nearly worked. I guess it did work in the end. Created the opportunity.
Thompson, he scored 2 tries here. Didn't decide to go for any kind of step, but good body height going into contact. The Fijians a little bit too high. That's part about the rolling drive by the Japanese. They're actually just offsetting themselves. They'll hit one spot, then they'll decide to attack another, like a scrum that's wheeling. Let's have a look at the conversion.
So a set for a thrilling finish here as Onishi adds the extras. Great work from Hare Makiri in that movement. The pass to Luke Thompson. Thompson had too much for Tale.
This kick-off receipt is absolutely crucial for the Japanese. Got to be a clean take. They're going to set a really good platform which they can attack from.
So there's only a minute remaining as Marius Jonker.
Is that one of your subs coming on there?
Indicates that possibly another replacement being made.
Hang on.
The first streaker of Rugby World Cup 2007.
Well, Jonker actually asked if that was one of the Fijian replacements coming onto the field. They need some fresh legs, but not nude.
Well, it's after midnight back home in Australia on Network 10. We'll have all the big games, all the dramatic incidents as Makiri comes back for Japan.
That's it, Bill phase it. Oh!
They've turned it over Japan. So the opportunity squandered. Moses Raluni. Nicky Little comes in to take his place at halfback. Fiji will just look to run down the clock here. It's sloppy, but Rambeni puts the right boot into the ball. It goes out on the full, so we'll come back where he kicked it for the line out.
Well, you're looking for a turning point in the game. That could be it, the inability to kick out without doing it on the full. It's a very, very easy mistake. They look to be nice and comfortable, Fijians there, but pretty simple error. Cramping there for the loose head prop Jews.
Graham Jews once again. Thompson for Japan. They haven't missed a beat in the line out this afternoon. They let it sing out to the right. Back off the right foot. Imamura does well. They've turned it over once again. The Japanese, and that might be their final opportunity. Rambeni, the pass back for Fiji and not back is the cry from the referee. Sisa, Kiamamboli at the back of the ruck, and this time the Japanese, well, they only really had to find touch. They failed to do it. One final fling for the Blossoms. Lomanu.
Opportunity wide. Oh, Endo was screaming for that ball.
Thompson ignored Endo, went himself. Robbins, well, that's an ordinary pass to say the least. Lomanu through his legs. Japan looked to turn it on. Onishi, Robbins again. He can't find his man. Japan through Masabara. Desperate to keep it in play. Makiri, this time he plays halfback.
And
Lomanu, the big long pass to the left. Back inside goes O'Reilly. He loses the ball, and that could be it for Japan. Fiji. That's Lingari kicking it ahead. Over the Japanese defence. Little on Ozawa. He'll have to go the length of the field. Back inside the pass. Fijians there in defence, though, is Lomanu. He's dangerous. Christian Lomanu steaming his way downfield. The Tongan-born Japanese international. The crowd on their feet. Japan one last fling.
To the right they come. The Fijians come across in cover. Makiri.
Patience.
Back inside. They keep it alive, the Blossoms. Endo. The pass inside. There's no one there for Fiji. The tackle made by Sissa. Advantage being played. It's desperate stuff from the Japanese. It's desperate defence from the Fijians. Time is up on the clock. O'Reilly picks and drives. Out they come again. The Japanese, they look to set it up. They found the 22. Not back. There's players lying on the ground for Fiji. They must be short in the defensive line. The crowd urge Japan on. Jonker out of his seat.
The space wide.
A try will win the match for Japan. Endo. They go to the left. The Fijians, they're almost out on their feet. The Japanese have a big line out to the left. This is exciting stuff at Toulouse. The inside setup plays halfback. They go wide. The cut-out pass. Lamonu back inside. Onizawa. Well, Japanese players standing there watching. Luke Thompson picks it up and takes it back. Both sides almost out on their feet now. Onizawa. The Japanese not making much ground at the moment. Have they run out of gas? The replacement player, Yamamura, once again lays it back for Kazuki Endo. Kuroan bites his fingernails once again. Advantage for Japan.
Someone who needs to run a really strong, hard line. Fijians are going to be drifting.
Roberts, a little kick through from Thompson.
Gee.
And they come back for the penalty, so Jonker filthy of that option from Thompson. He wants to get out there and play the big man himself. We come back for the penalty. Navur was offside. Jonker.
Well, the singular option they've been using to score from this position is kicking it out and driving. They can't kick it out. The clock's gone. They've got to play on here.
So good observation there from Ben Darwin. Ben Choon inside him gets excited. This game going down to the wire. A try will win it for Japan. They can't kick it out. Bryce Robbins. When you're ready, you go. The crowd roars.
They're setting up midfield and maul. That's the closest they can get.
So Fiji with the opportunity there to settle themselves down. Robbins plays halfback. The ball out to...
That's a better line.
That's Onizawa.
Oh, there we go.
Well, they turned it over, Japan. Rembeni kicks it into touch. John Kerwin contemplates what might have been from his cherry blossoms. And players lay prone on the field. They put everything into that final 3 or 4 minutes. Japan desperate to score, Fiji desperate to defend. They are successful in that pursuit. And they win this game at Le Stade Toulouse by 4 points. 35-31. As congratulations are exchanged from 30. Well, let's make that 44. Very, very exhausted players.
But absolutely. I mean, when you think, I guess, of the letdown of the first half, the second half made up for it, didn't it, in terms of excitement? Still plenty of mistakes, but both teams really giving it a red-hot go.
So, the exciting finish here sees Fiji triumph. A vital victory for Ili Tambua's Fijians. We'll be back in a moment with the full-time summary with Bill Woods and my commentators.